everyone, it's Suzanne from Two Sticks here, and we're doing things a little bit different for this assembly video. We're going to watch Steve here take off, put together the Pikler extender and put it on this existing small Pikler. So what he's doing right now is he's using the Allen key to take off the pivot bolts, and he's removing the small leg, the shorter leg. And now Steve is taking his drill to remove the screws. So I just wanted to mention something because we didn't show it on the video, and it's going to go a little bit fast. But once you have the connector off, Steve's going to pull the screws back a little bit to loosen up the give, and he's going to take out the two top dowels. And what you're going to do when those two dowels are out is you're going to take the drill bit that was provided, and you're going to drill out those 4 holes, 2 on each side, to make them a little bit bigger, because as you'll see, so there he's pulled back the screws a little bit to make it loose. This is the time where you're going to drill out those holes. And then he's taking the dowels with 2 inserts in them, the metal inserts, and he put it on, and now he's drilling the screws back in. Now the reason why you're going to want to drill those holes out, those 4 holes out, is because they are going to be replaced with, instead of regular screws, they will now fit the pivot bolts. So they need to be a little bit bigger. So now what Steve is doing is he's getting hardware, some screws to put in there, because previously there were 3-inch screws that connected to the connector. We will provide you with 2-inch screws to go into that, that 3rd dowel place. Now Steve is going to put together the extender. So he's taking 2 regular dowels and put them in the center spaces, the 2 middle spaces, and he's putting the screws in. These are the screws that you'll need the square head for. And now he's taking the connector that has a longer side and a shorter side on the top. You'll see it kind of has a shorter leg once it's face up like that. And he's putting pivot bolts into this, which means he's using the 2 dowels that have inserts in them. So there are metal inserts for the top 2 places on this extender leg. And we will provide you with the Allen key as well for that. So now Steve went ahead and grabbed the other leg and is putting the pivot bolts in on the other side here. And he's just making sure that everything is fitting into its right place. And he's adding the other screws in, but he's only adding them in not all the way. Just put them in a little looser, and you'll see why, because we will tighten everything up once it's all pieced together. So you're going to take the other connector piece, and it has a longer leg. And you can see the difference between the connecting pieces. So now Steve is fitting in the dowels that have inserts in them on the last 2 places. And he's using the Allen key for this. And he's not tightening them too tight. He just wants to make sure that they're not wobbling around. It makes it a little bit easier when you're connecting things, when you're connecting them together. So things aren't loose and difficult, because especially if you're doing this on your own, it gets very frustrating when dowels are just kind of not going in place, or they're not held in place. So he's just making sure that all the dowels are fitting in the holes properly. And now he's going to go around and tighten everything. So the first 2 are the pivot holes, the pivot bolts that you use the Allen key for. The middle 2 are square head drill bits that you would use a drill for. And so just as a reminder, Steve is just tightening all the bolts now. So once he is finished with this, the extender piece will be completed. And I wanted to mention here, you'll see Steve, he's doing a little trick here. If you have a hard time putting the screws in, a trick, you'll see on our other assembly videos, especially for the Pikler, a candle wax trick where you rub the screw with candle wax. And then if you're still having a hard time, if you see what Steve did there, he put the screw in and pulled it out a bit and put it back in a couple times, and then it went in. So now Steve is taking the longer leg, and he's placing it on the side that has, on the extender, that has that circle. You can kind of see it has a circle bit and a shorter end leg on it. I hope that makes sense. What you're looking at here, when you look at the connector piece, you see it has a little bit of like a round part to it in the middle and a shorter leg to it. So he's putting in the pivot bolt here. And you can also put in, you'll see, I'll mention it again once he puts it in, but you can also use the quick Pikler handle release, the Pikler handles that we have on sale also. So here Steve is just putting in the pivot bolts onto that side. And there's Georgia. And as a reminder, this is the longer side of the Pikler. So you'll see also that Steve holds on to the dowels once it's getting tightened, just so that the dowels aren't spinning around while you're trying to tighten that. And now the reason why it looks like Steve is having a little bit of a hard time is because after we filmed this video is when we discovered that you need to drill out those holes. And so that's what's happening here. So now he's placing in, using the Pikler handles that we have, the quick release handles. So instead of using the Allen key, this is another great option for when you want to fold your Pikler. Instead of always grabbing the Allen key, we have these release handles. And again, I just wanted to mention that if it seems like he's having a little bit of a struggle getting those on, it's because in this video, we discovered that we need to drill out that hole. So it's just a little bit tight for that pivot bolt or that size of bolt to go in. So again, the Pikler handles are a great tool if you want to fold this piece quickly. So now Steve is taking the smaller leg, the smaller side of the Pikler, and again he's using the pivot bolts to connect this. During this part of the recording, Georgia decided to try and help her dad by using a flashlight. So we're just using the pivot bolts on this side again with the Allen key. So as we're coming to the end of the video, Steve is just going to go over all the pivot bolts and make sure everything's all tightened. I wanted to mention that if at any point you have difficulties, you can pause this video and give us a shout on Facebook or Instagram or our email. And now's the time that Georgia was waiting for this whole time, is to climb the unit now that it's all built. And yeah, we hope this video was helpful, and we hope you enjoy your new Pikler extension. Thanks everyone. Bye.